So after Nick Shirley did his investigative report in Minnesota regarding the fraud, there have been a lot of people coming out of the woodwork trying to defend and sort of deflect from the situation. And by all accounts, it's a very substantial degree of fraudulent behavior that is happening. It's not fraud on a small level. This is likely fraud that is totaling in the billions of dollars, billions with a B. And for fraud to get to that level, it becomes institutionalized, where you don't just have citizen actors engaging in the fraud at that point. You have people that are, likely at the state level, likely at the federal level, that are well aware about what is happening. And as such, after Nick Shirley exposed this story, people have been trying to deflect away from what is happening. And obviously they're going to do that because there are likely very deeply entrenched interests in keeping the fraud hidden. So only time will tell. But this video is remarkable because this was a media town hall sort of event where they had community members, mostly from the Somali community, coming out and trying to, sort of give you this sob story, this bullshit kind of nonsense perspective that because Nick Shirley's exposing the fraud, these people are suffering and you're taking away their funds and how evil it is. And it's all nonsense. And quite frankly, we need to go many steps beyond just exposing the fraud. We need arrests. We need jail. We need re-immigration. Listen, I mean, if you're a Somali and you're involved in this fraud, you should be sent back to Somalia, and your whole family should be sent back to Somalia. Everybody is gone. That's what we need. Now, is that going to happen? Probably not. But anyways, take a look at this video because this member from the Somali community tries to give this canned, scripted speech and totally fucks up. Says the quiet part out loud, and you can see the life literally draining from her face in real time as she realizes what she actually said. Let's take a look at this video here.
If childcare is cut, I'm unable to work or go to school. I understand fraud is bad.
Right, so that obviously wasn't planned. That likely wasn't part of what she was supposed to say, but maybe she had a moment of, or what's it called, a Freudian slip, where she sort of says what is actually on her mind. But anyways, let's get her out of the country. But the fraud it's really bad at this point, folks. I mean, it is really bad. And it's so bad that these people that are engaging in it, they can't even create websites that look legitimate. Like, take a look at this one. This is from the Grace something or other, Grace Care Center. And just look at all the spelling mistakes that are on here. 1,000 children coverage, 3,000 happy family. I mean, who writes like that? What else do they have on here? Their gallery is just stock photos. And they can't even produce a website that looks legitimate, but they cobble together, these sort of fraudulent sites to create the fake veneer of legitimacy, when in reality they're hiding behind a heap of dog shit is really what it is. Anyways, I want to play this last video here because CNN has been coming after Nick Shirley after he did his whole expose in Minnesota here, and they're really trying to discredit the reporting that he has done. So let's take a look at what the panel has to say.
So he goes to the facilities. Some of them had already been closed for some time. Minnesota officials say that each of the facilities that he visited had been visited at least once in the last 6 months. And so far, they found no evidence of fraud. So shouldn't he have to provide actual evidence of fraud before?
I got to pause it there. So the state is saying that they visited the clinics and they found no evidence of fraud. Okay, that is hardly proof that there's no fraud.
Just walking up to a building and saying fraud is happening here.
Who is he? Like, who gave this guy license to go around and say, I couldn't get into daycare centers, the doors were locked? Like, nobody should be able to walk into a daycare center because the doors are locked. These random vigilante justice, something that people in this country know a lot about, these random...
Okay, these people are so megamaniacal. They're so conceited. You don't need a license to do journalism. You don't need a license to ask questions, and ultimately that's what Nick Shirley is doing, and fundamentally that's why it resonates with so many people, because he is simply asking questions. And furthermore, she's saying you can't just walk into you can't just walk into a daycare. Yeah, you can. Yes, you can. Yes. Most daycares, I would say like 99% of legitimate daycares would have a reception where you can walk in, ask questions, and enroll your child at the daycare. So yes, you can.
Vigilante justice seekers who ordain themselves like some sort of law enforcement expert, like he's a random YouTuber. And I just find it laughable that the party of the self-proclaimed pro-life people are celebrating cutting off funding to children. The white evangelical crowd who purports to uphold these Christian values are celebrating targeting communities because of their ethnicity and cutting off care.
I mean, this is just such drivel, just utter bullshit. People are upset about the fact that there are likely billions of dollars going to fraudulent daycares when that money could be spent helping real legitimate families that actually need the money. That's the difference between these elitist, sort of out of touch, talking heads, politicians in DC, where they are so removed from the realities of daily life that they say asinine comments like that. That's the whole reason people care about the fraud, is because they want that money to go to people that actually need it. They don't want it to go to some 64 retarded IQ Somali that came to Minnesota 3 years ago and is making $575,000 a year. They don't want that. That's not what the Americans want. They didn't vote for that. Nobody signed up for that. And these people are totally out of their fucking minds.
Children. It's utterly ridiculous. And I have to say, only a deplorable human being cannot decisively say it is wrong to target this community. We all heard what Donald Trump said from the White House. To pretend that this is some sort of opinion versus this opinion. No, we hear this right now. And so we have to call these things out with outrage, with righteous indignation, that this type of thing, one day it's the Somali community, the next day it's another community. What is hard about saying this is awful? What is hard about saying we should all care about children?
No, anyways, we're going to stop it there. I just can't listen to this nonsense anymore. And she's upset that they're targeting the Somali community. No, they're not going far enough, quite frankly. Okay, they're not going far enough. They need to deport these people. They need to get them out of the country and never see them again. That would be actually solving the issue. That's what Americans want, or Americans with common sense. That's what they want. Okay, you know what? Our politicians aren't going far enough now. And we've reached this point, collectively in the Western world. It's not like it's unique to one country. That the problems are so large at this point that for meaningful change to actually happen, the solutions become more and more and more drastic. Now, there is a dichotomy there, because just because it becomes more drastic, or the solution, or the solution that is required is more drastic, does not mean that the solution loses the moral argument, because it's not moral to have one community overrepresented in a fraud of this scale. that's not moral, right? So if we want to talk about morality, there's a broader discussion to be had there. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about this story in the comment section. As new news comes out, I will keep reporting on it.